Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to our Bhagavad Gita class for this Sunday. Today, the topic that we are going to take is from Shlok 61 onwards, how a liberated person control and uses his senses. To start the recap, so the objective of this class is to read Shlokas, to understand the meaning of the Shloka, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 2. What we have done till now, this chapter 2 is divided into 5 sections. We have done the first section where Arjun's indecision and accepting Lord Krishna as a guru. Then the second section where it's Gyan or Sankhya Yoga. Krishna explains about the analysis of body and soul. Then the third section, which Krishna talks about Sakam Karma Yoga, do your duty. Yeah, and then he talked about the fourth section, which is Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. That is, we need to do our duty and with detachment. Yeah. And last is, we are on the last section of this chapter, which is about Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya is a liberated soul. And what are the qualities of this liberated soul? So this is what we are going through right now. What we have done in the previous class on Sthit Pragya is, who is Sthit Pragya? So basically this whole Sthit Pragya section started with Arjun asking 4 questions to Krishna. The first question he asked is, what is the symptoms of liberated soul? That is the first question asked. Then second question he asked is, how does he speak? What is the speak? And what is the meaning of the speaking is, how does he react to the external stimulus? When people talks to him in anger, and how does he behave? That is speaks. Third is, how does he sit? And when it's sitting, it is, how does he control his senses? And last is, how does he use his senses? Does he use his senses? These are the 4 questions that Arjun asked. What we have covered till now is the first question, what are the symptoms? And the answer to that is that he is self-satisfied. He is situated within and attached to Krishna. That is the symptoms of a Sthit Pragya, right? Then second is, how does he speak? Then he says he is indifferent to happiness and distress. Yeah, the Dushkritam and Sukritam, he is Shubh and Ashubh. He is always balanced and will focus on his work, and he will do it. He is free from attachment, fear, and anger. He is equipoised, and then we talked about, so he has complete control over his senses. That is what we talked about by speaking. The third thing that he talked about is, how does he sit? And when he talk about sitting is, how does he control his senses? So now we go to the next thing. I'll just quickly take through the 3 questions that 3 answers that Krishna has explained. He talked about that how does he sit or how does he control his senses? He gave an example of tortoise. Yeah, just like a tortoise, what he does, he actually put all his limbs inside under his shell. Yeah, whenever he sees a danger, right? Similarly, whenever a person who is a Sthit Pragya, he has complete control his senses, and whenever he sees something on the material side, he will just pull it back, his senses back. That's what he explained about his tortoise. Then he talked about Vishya Vinivartante Niraharis Dehina Rasvarjam Rasopres Paramandishra. He says that he has total control. He's not like someone who is contemplating and restricting by force, but he is attached. He's like, his senses are devoted to Krishna, and that's why it's totally controlled. Like, he's not that's what we talked about in Shlok 59. And then the last shlok that we took was about Yatadopi happy Konteya Purushasya Vipaschita Indriyani Pramarthina Haranti Prasabha Mana. He said, Krishna says that, oh Arjun, the Indriyani, the senses are so strong. They're so strong that even, they just kidnap. They just kidnap, even for a person who can differentiate between wrong and right. And then we talked about Vishwamitra. We talked about a great yogi. I mean, Vishwamitra is a very, very great yogi. And this happened during his journey. During his journey, that Vishwamitra was a king. Initially, he was a king. And then when he met Vasishtha Rishi, who was a Brahma Rishi, so he decided that, Brahma Rishi can do anything. So from a king, I want to become a Brahma Rishi, right? And that is the entire journey. In his entire journey, in the middle of his journey, when he was trying to become a Rishi, at that point of time, he, Indra started getting worried whenever someone wants to become, is doing a lot of penance. Always Indra is worried, and he got worried. And at that point of time, what happened is he sent Menaka. And then Vishwamitra got attracted. But Vishwamitra is a great, great yogi, and he's the one who has actually given the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra has been given by him. So during that journey, I mean, later he realized that what it is, but during that journey, he was a yogi who is trying to restrict the senses. And then we saw that in such a state, when you're trying to restrict the senses, but you're not attached to Krishna, what will happen? You have a chance to fall down, right? And then we also talked about the story of Amrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni, where although Amrish Maharaj is a king, but because his senses are all engaged with Krishna, he could, even Durvasa Muni, he was like, he had to come and beg pardon from Amrish Muni, right? So this is what we said, that even for a person who can differentiate between good and bad, even for him, it is very difficult to control senses. Now we go to Shlok number 61. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparah vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratisthita. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparah vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratisthita. So here, a very important word is matpara. Matpara is unto me. This is the first time Krishna has spoken about himself. Yeah. And he says, till now he was talking about divine consciousness, you give to God, but he was not specifying himself directly. This is the first time Krishna says, to me, unto me. Yeah. Tani sarvani sanyamya. So Tani is what? All senses. Sanyam is control. Sanyam is control. Sarvani is all. Yukta asit matpara. And yukt, dedicated to me. Matpara is to me. Vashehi yasendrani. And who can control his senses like that? Tasya pragya pratishtha. He is a man of steady intelligence. He is a man of steady intelligence. Yeah. So Vanji, start.
Tani sarvani samyamya.
Tani sarvani sanyamya. Yukta asita matparah.
Vasehi yasya indriyani.
Vashehi yasya indriyani.
Tasya pragya pratisthita.
Tasya pragya pratisthita. Very good. So now we go to the meaning. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Yeah. So again, here we will take the example of Amrish Maharaj. So he's keeping all his senses under full control, and his consciousness is fixed on Krishna. So how did Amrish Maharaj, what was his way? So although he was a big king, although he was a great king, but what he used to do, his tongue used to be used for prayers and for talking about God. He used to hear his ears for listening about God's glory. Yeah, his eyes for seeing the God and the deities, right? His hands, he used to clean the temple. He used to clean the temple, decorate the God. He used to use that. So, and then nose, he used to smell the tulsi leaves that was offered to the Krishna, or the flowers that was offered. That is how, by using the smell of those things for smelling that, his nose was used for that. His legs, he used to travel to temple and various various pilgrimage. So that's what his legs were being used for. So his all senses, although he was a king and he was doing all his duty the way it should be, but his all was for Krishna. So one who restrained his senses, keeping them under full control, and that is how he used to control his senses and fixes his consciousness upon is known as the man of steady intelligence, right? So even for a yogi, what happens if it's if there's a fire, and all, when you have Vishnu, and when you are doing a meditation, and when you have meditating on Vishnu or on Krishna, what happens? all your misdeeds, whatever it is there, since it also gets into the fire, just like, it gets burnt into the fire of, it gets into burnt into the fire. Yeah, so now we go to the next shlok. Dhyato vishan punsah sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho vijayate dhayato vishyan punsah sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho vijayate. Rupa.
Dhyayato vishayan punsah
Dhyato vishyan punsah
sangasteshu upajayate
sangasteshu upajayate
sangat sanjayate kamaha
sangat sanjayate kamah
kamat krodho vijayate.
kamat krodho vijayate. Now, in shlok number 62 and 63, Krishna talks about what happens if someone is not attaching his senses to Krishna, right? So how exactly the whole process happens. Now we are going to see a flow chart. What really happens in that we'll see, we can relate to our life. Dhyayato vishyan punsa. Dhyayato means on contemplating, focusing on something. Vishya is a sense object. Yeah. When a person is focusing on a sense object, something that he wants, it's a material sense object focusing. What level? Sangat pujate. And what sang means attachment. What happens when you want something, when you're thinking about something, you develop an attachment to it. What will happen? You will develop an attachment to it because you are just focusing on it. This. You get attachment to it. Now, sangat sanjayate kama. And when you get attached to it and you keep on thinking about that, a person or something, or that thing that you want, a car, whatever you want, then what will happen? You'll get attachment, and then you'll have a desire to achieve it. Yeah, when you keep on thinking about it, oh, this thing, this car, this something, then you want to have it. You'll have a desire. You will have a kamana. Kam is desire to have it. Kamat krodho vijayate. And in case you are not able to get it, what will happen? You'll get angry. This is what happens. Anything we wish, it could be anything that we really desire hard. Then what will happen? We'll be thinking about that thing. And when you keep on thinking about it, what will happen? The more you think about it, the more you get attached to it. And the more you get attached to it, what will happen? You'll have more desire to achieve it. Yeah. And you have more desire to achieve it. And if you not get it, what will happen? You'll get angry. So this is what happens, is a standard process. So next to stroke, it talks about 8 stages that's happened. So let's read the meaning of it. While contemplating the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. Yeah, that's a process, right? We go to the next shlok and then I'll go to the story. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Samohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti bhanshad buddhinasho. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Samohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti brashad buddhinasho. Buddhinashat prashyati. Barman.
Krodhat bhavati sammoha.
Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha smriti vibhramaha. Smriti panchad buddhinasho. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So we read about the first 4 process. Now what will happen? When you get angry, then what happens? So when you get angry, then sammoha, you get deluded. You get deluded. Right now you don't know. Huh? And when you get delusion, you come into delusion, what will happen? Smriti vibra. Smriti is your memory. your memory gets bewildered. And when your memory gets bewildered, what happened? Smriti Bhranshat, Buddhi Nasho, your intelligence get impacted. Your intelligence, mind is separate and Buddhi and Man is two different things, right? Buddhi is your intelligence. That is what should be stronger, should control. So when your Smriti, your memory or your mind, it will become Vibhrama, then what will happen? It will also impact your intelligence. And when intelligence, what will happen? Buddhi Nasho, Smriti Bhranshat, Buddhi Nasho, Buddhi Nashat Prashati. And then what will happen? The person will fall down. It's a process, an 8-stage process that happens whenever we let our sense loose. We don't control our senses, we let our sense loose. Whatever we want to have, even for a child, the child wants a doll. Yeah? If you don't control the child right from a child stage, the child will never learn to stop. And you keep on fulfilling the thing, the child keep on saying, no, I want. You keep on fulfilling the thing, you are actually going to create a problem, because then the person, so this 8 step is valid for anyone. Yeah, whoever is desires and we keep on fulfilling, you are actually, the person will keep on falling, right? This is what the process is. So yeah, what we'll do is, let's read the meaning first. From anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory happens. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Right? So this is what is the 8-step process that happens. Now there's a story about Haridas Thakur. So Chaitanya Prabhu, he came to, in this world some 500 years ago. And he's the one who actually gave this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, if you go back to our Puran, the mantra is Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Basically, the Ved Puran was supposed to be only read by Brahmins, learned, and that is how it's supposed to be. But then the mantra had to be given to everyone, because it is, everyone has to get delivered. They have to break the cycle of birth and death. So there was an objection that why when he started saying Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he said, no, then why are you distributing this to everyone? So what he did, he just reversed it. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. So now everyone can speak. Okay, that's it. Now he had a great devotee called Haridas Thakur. He was born in a Muslim family. Now, because of that, and he was a great devotee, and he used to keep on chanting this mantra. So that community had discarded him. So what happened? But Chaitanya Prabhu, he actually accepted him, and he also gave him the position of Namacharya, because in a day, we chant 16 rounds, which take 2 hours every day. So normally people chant 16. When you chant in the right speed, 1 round will take 7 minutes. 2 rounds will take 2 hours. The 16 rounds will take 2 hours. He used to chant 190 rounds. 190 rounds. So he used to hardly sleep. His whole day was and if you go to Puri, there's a samadhi of him. Yeah. So he is called Namacharya. Now, what happened was, he was in a village, and the village pradhan was very, was like, he was very, what do you call it, envious of him, and he wanted to defame him. Yeah. So what he did was, he got a prostitute and asked her to go and be with Haridas Thakur, just to defame him. So she came, and now Haridas Thakur understood the intention. So he said, fine, let me complete my chanting, and then I will talk to you. So she sat in the same kuti, and he kept on chanting. Morning happened, and finally she left. Now that zamindar, he wanted to again next day send her. Now he again did the same thing. He said, yes, please come and sit. As soon as my chanting is over, I will talk to you. Second day also same thing happened. Third day also same thing happened. Now this lady, because he was such a pure person, dedicated his life to chanting and Krishna, this lady, after 3 days, because of association, she changed. After third day, she changed. And she finally, did Dandavat Pranam and said, please, you make me your disciple. So he said, I knew the intention, I knew everything. Take this kuti, take this tulsi. Every day you put water to this tulsi and you keep on chanting name. And he left that kuti and he went away. Yeah, so that is the story of Haridas Thakur. So that is the power of this mantra. Yeah, that is the control, sense control that he had, that after everything, he kept on, and not only that, he changed the person who had them. I have heard, I have not seen, but I have heard that this, she became then a very big, not a devotee, everyone started respecting her. And I have heard that there is a temple made in her name there. So I have to yet see that, but let's see. But that is how it is a power. And if you have that control, and how you do develop it, it's not just by reading Gita. The practice is by chanting, because we only read this once, Saturday, Sunday, 1 hour. Yeah, you have to practically apply that to develop that power. And how do you do that? By chanting the mantra. The more you chant, the more you can chant, the more power you get. Don't expect that change or miracle in a day. It takes years and years. It all depends upon how much, dirt is on us. Yeah, how much dirt is on us. Accordingly, it'll take years and years and years of practice, and you will see a change. Yeah, because Haridas Thakur was so powerful that this lady could see a change in 3 days, sitting whole night next to him, near him. Yeah, but that power has to come, and by chanting the mantra, you can get that power. Okay, so we go to the. So now, very important thing is this: we read 2 shloka, 62 and 63. Yeah, so we saw how does it all starts. It all starts by 62. Dhyate Vishya Pumsa. Dhyate. So the whole process starts from when you start meditating, contemplating on the sense object. Something that you want, if you start contemplating on that, then all this whole process will come. Yeah. So if you want to change, what you have to do? You have to cut the first point from where it starts. You have to cut the first point from where it starts. Just take it out from your sight. If you don't want to eat sweets, you're off sweets, ensure it doesn't come in your sight. So don't even see it. When you don't see it, then at least that way you can avoid seeing it. Yeah. And to develop that control, and even if it's there, I'll not eat it, it'll take time. Yeah. The first is cut it. It's like someone is falling from the cliff. It can't stop midway, right? So you have to cut the source. You have to cut the source. When you cut the source, the whole process can get stopped. Understood? And suppose, and if there's a word called Falgu Vairagya. If you don't, you just restrict yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that. And then what will happen? It's a Falgu Vairagya, just like it is up and down. It's a Vairagya of a short time. And then again, you will get back to the same thing. So it's not only cut, but also change your sense. You change whatever sense you're trying to, get away. Put that sense to Krishna. Yeah. So that way you can start controlling yourself. That is the method to control. Yeah. We go to the next slok. Now, with this slok, the third question has been answered by Krishna. This is the last slok of third, that how does he sit or how does he control his senses, right? The last question of Arjuna is how does he use his senses? That is the last question he has asked. So let's read the slok number 64. Ragadesha vimuktestu Vishyan Indriyas Charan Atmavasher Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhikachati Ragadveshe Vimuktestu Vishyan Indriyesh Charan Atmavasher Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhikachati. Yeah.
Ragadvesha vimuktestu
Ragadeshe muktestu
Yayan indriyascharan
Vidyanindrescharan
Atma vashyet videyatma
Atmavashyer Vidheyatma
prasadam adhigacchati.
Radam Adhigachati. Yeah. So now here Krishna says about the fourth answering the how to use your senses. About how does a sthit pragya, how does he use his senses? Yeah. So the last word prasadam adhigachati. Prasadam is mercy of the God. Prasad. He'll get gachati, agachati, he'll get the mercy of the God. When will he get? Raga dveshe mukta. Rag is attachment and dvesh is aversion, not attachment. So detachment. When he is free from attachment and aversion, asthit pragya is neutral. He is not attached and neither is detached. He is indifferent. So raga dveshe mukta vishyan indresh charan. Yeah. And he also vishyan is sense objects. His contemplating indriya is your senses. So even from, when he's looking at the sense object, when he's getting attached, looking at the sense object, he has no attachment. Not that, he'll be any different. He is looking at the sense object, his indriya, but he's looking at it indifferently without any attachment. Understood? Atma Vashye. Atma Vashye means Atma Vashye, keeping your mind totally controlled. Yeah. Vidheyatma. Vidheyatma means regulative principles of freedom. Following the regulative principles of freedom. That is the meaning of Vidheyatma. Prasadam adhigachati. That is the. So let's read the meaning. But a person free from all attachment and aversion, and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Right? So he says, what does he do? He is free from attachment and aversion. His mind is totally controlled. Doesn't mean that at that point of time, doesn't mean that he is not connecting to the sense object. His senses are getting connected to the sense object, but because of his internal mood, when he's totally controlled, it doesn't impact him. He doesn't go through those 8 processes. Yeah. Otherwise, you will go through that play. But when you have controlled so the first pragya, he has so much control over his senses, that has so much detached that it doesn't matter to him. Even if he's connecting to the sense object, it doesn't matter because he will not get swayed. He will not get swayed. And this can only happen by the mercy of the Lord. That is a prasad gachati. So you have to try. You have to try, but he has to bless. Yeah. Just your trying will not happen. His blessings can change. But you have to put your effort. And how do you put your effort? When I want, I will get up and I'll do. No, you have to be committed. You have to. Chanting means chanting. You have to have a disciplined life where you are chanting, connecting, praying to give your mercy. Down the line, we all will get. Yeah. So if we artificially control our senses, like we saw in case of when Vishwamitri we talked about, or Saubhar Muni. Yeah. So what happens what did Saubhar Muni do? His mind is not controlled. He said that, because I'm getting disturbed, I'll go. He found a place inside the Yamuna Nadi, inside the Yamuna river. He sat there and started meditating. Yeah. And he did meditation for years and years and years together. But when he opened his eyes and he saw 2 fish mating, he got lost. And what he did? He came up. He heard about the King Mandata. He went there in that roop as a yogi who had been inside the water for ages. And he went to the king of Mandata and asked for his daughter. And when the king looked at him, he was like, if I say something, he's a yogi. If he curses me, what will happen? He's worried. So he says, see, I can't say anything. Why don't you go and talk to my daughters? So when he went to the daughters, he had 50 daughters. They all got scared. Now then he realized that, okay, he has to, because, he cannot, in this, then he realized that, okay, this is not the right position in which I can go to them again. So he, because of his mystic power, he changed himself to be a young, smart boy. And when he went there back, all the 50 princes wanted to marry him. Yeah. So that is what it is, right? So artificially, when you control your senses, you fall down. Yeah. It's not just control. You have to, it's like, it's like your senses will get attached to something, either material or spiritual. Choice is yours. It is not that, I will not, it is not, it can be hanging in air. It's not like that. Either your senses will get attached to something which is spiritual or material. By default, we all attach to material things. Yeah, because we don't really bother about, yeah, it's a gutsy, do a diya, Bhagwan ka naam le lo, do kriyo, ho gaya. That is just a formality we do, right? But all of us are attached to the material world, material thing, right? But then if we try to restrict our, like we talked about that story about a patient, diabetic patient, because doctor has said that don't eat sweets. So you're restricting it forcefully. You're restricting it forcefully, right? So when you see it coming, when the gulab jamun comes in front of you, you will not be able to give it because it is a forced restriction. It is a forced restriction. That is an artificial restriction, isn't it? So you have to, not only that, you have to strengthen your desires also, and all this control can come more by connecting to God, right? Otherwise, so that's what you have to go to a higher taste. Your senses has to get attached to a higher taste, where all this becomes too little for you. Yeah, it becomes too little. You have to get attached to a higher taste. And higher taste, when you get up and your all activity is for Krishna, then doesn't really matter what's happening outside, because then that becomes your priority. You're attached to a higher taste. Yeah, then these becomes abominable. Doesn't matter. Okay, first let me go to give to Prasad. Now, how the change happens? It cannot happen overnight. It doesn't happen. You like to eat gulab jamun, you make it a point. I will eat gulab jamun, but unless I have offered to Krishna, I'll not eat. That's the first step. Whatever I eat, I'll first offer to him, and he doesn't accept anything without giving tulsi. And if you don't have tulsi, what will you do? Our Sanatan Dharma is so good. We have a method of offering things by mind. Mansa we can offer. Yeah. So if you don't have tulsi, you can mentally ask for tulsi. You can put it you can imagine that, yeah, this is there, you're offering, putting it in the tulsi in the gulab jamun. Yeah, then offering it to Krishna. Leave it there, close it, and if Krishna is eating, then the bell is ringing. If the bell is not ringing, then Krishna is not eating. There's a story behind it. Yeah. So Krishna is, so your bell should ring. So then you can say, yeah, the bell has eaten, and then you can leave and come out. Let Krishna eat, and then you come and eat it. So that is why you also satisfying your senses. Yeah. But you have offered it to Krishna, it has become prasad. Yeah. So whatever, even something we are cooking a vegetarian food, even there you have a lot of germs. You're killing, all the small insects that we can't see. So even that is not pure. But what happens if I just eat it like that? I will get sin. But what I do when I give it to Krishna, and then the food becomes prasad. Then I honor prasad. When I take prasad, then it becomes, so God, that is a change. Yeah. So slowly make that change in the life, offer everything to him, and that will also help you to control the senses, right? So not that you have to change your life, whatever you're doing, do everything, but just do everything for Krishna, offering Krishna. Go to job, you are going to do a job, go to job, you are supposed to change the mood. I'm going to work, whatever salary I get, I have offered to Krishna, then I take it from Krishna, because I have to sleep, I have to take care of my family, everyone, not family. And so that just change the mood and live. Yeah. Then we go to the next shlok. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi pravatishthate Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Lisha, yours. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate buddhi paryavatishthate. So now here Krishna talks about, we talked about prasade. So once we do that, we get the mercy of the Lord. Now then what will happen? Prasade. Now this is a continuation of the last slok. Prasade. When we get the mercy of the Lord, sarva dukkhanam. All our, we talked about threefold miseries, right? So all our dukkeshu we talked about. So all our threefold miseries. And what are the threefold miseries? Adhyatmic. Yeah. So we are as soon as we are born in this world, we are subjected to threefold miseries. One is adhyatmic, because of our mental concoction. Actually, things may not be happening, but we'll keep on thinking that things are like this, things are like this. And we start feeling that on our body. Yeah. So that is because our own mind and senses. That is adhyatmic. Then we have adi bhautik. Bhautik is sansar, because of the world outside. I gave an example of mosquito, biting mosquitoes, or other people with whom we get into altercation. So this that can be because of others, right? And last is adi devik, that is natural disasters. So these are the threefold miseries that we get exposed to in this life as soon as we are born in the material world, right? So because of once you get the mercy, prasade, once you get the mercy of the Lord, sarva dukkhanam hanir. Hanir is restriction. Everything, hanir upajayate, all your miseries, threefold miseries, what will happen? It will go away. It will go away. Prasanna chetaso hyashu. And what will happen? What will you become? You'll become prasanna chit. Chit is consciousness, and your consciousness will be happy. Yeah. Buddhi paryavatishthita. And your intelligence will be steady, will be well established. Yeah. Now let's read the as you read it, right? Yeah. Now we go to the English one. For one thus satisfied, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. Yeah. So here it talks about when we start taking prasad, what will happen? We slowly develop satisfaction. We slowly start getting satisfaction. Once our senses start getting controlled, then we start getting satisfaction. And everyone needs satisfaction, right? So you have to again attach the higher taste to get the satisfaction. So now there's so all of us know what Bhagavatam is, right? So Bhagavatam, we are now reading Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatam, we have 18 Purans. We have 18 Puran. Out of that 18 Puran, Bhagavatam is one of the Puran. Bhagavatam is one of the Puran. So what happened? All our Purans are written by Vedvyas. It is written by Vedvyas. And if you want to see where it is written, then you have to go to Badrinath. If you go to Badrinath, in Badrinath, we still have the Gufa which is Vyasdev Gufa, which is the place from where it was spoken. And before Vedvyas Gufa, below that, there's a Ganesh Gufa. There's a Ganesh Gufa. So Mahabharata is written by Ganesh and spoken by Vedvyas. You can see that, it's you first cross the Ganesh Gufa, then you go to Vedvyas Gufa. And that is the only place where you see Saraswati Nadi. In India, that is the only place where you can see Saraswati Nadi coming from the Himalayas and going in the Patal Lok. That is the only place. Yeah. And there you have the Prayag called Keshav Prayag. That place where that it means it's called Keshav Prayag. Yeah. So you can see that there what I was talking about. Yeah. So what happened was Vedvyas had written most of the Purans. He had written all, say 17 Purans he had written, but he was not satisfied. He has written Pad Puran, Shiv Puran, Devi Puran, all the Puran he has written, but he was still not feeling very satisfied. So he started meditating. He went to the river Saraswati and he sat there and started meditating. And who is the spiritual master of Vedyas? It is Narad. Narad is the spiritual master of Vedyas. He came. So he asked, what happened? So Vedyas said, I have written everything, but still I'm not feeling satisfied. I still have that pinch in my heart that, that it's not giving me the full satisfaction. He says, you have written everything, but you have distributed things, about Krishna and Bhakti in multiple Puran. You have to make one Puran, which is only about Bhakti. And if you do that, you will get satisfied. So at that point of time, Ved Vyas has written Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam has got 12 cantos. It has got 12 cantos, and all is only about Bhakti. It is all about devotees of Krishna. The entire, all the 10, we talk about the 10 appearance, the major. It is all about that. So Bhagavatam. Once we finish Gita, I'll start taking Bhagavatam. So after Gita, it is Bhagavatam. It's the next level that you go to, right? So now that is what happened. So satisfaction, if you really want satisfaction, you have to get attached to Krishna, and then you don't need anything else in life. That is a full stop. Yeah. So imagine even Ved Vyas. The example is even Ved Vyas did not get satisfied after writing all the Purans, and only when he wrote the Bhagavatam he got satisfied. So someone has to read this. Momita, you read. Prasade sarva dukkhana. ये वाला हो गया. अच्छा नेक्स्ट. अच्छा ठीक है. ओके. नास्ति, it's the next one. नास्ति बुद्धिर्युक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभाव्यत शान्तिर् अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्. नास्ति बुद्धिर्युक्तस्य अयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभाव्यत शान्तिर् अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्. Yeah, Mamita.
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभाव्यत शान्तिर् शान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्.
Ashantasya kuta sukham. So now Krishna is taking he talked about 2 shlokas. So how do we use our senses? He's answering to Arjun about how does a Sthik Pragya uses his senses. And he talked about 2 shlokas where we talked about satisfaction and yeah. Now he's saying, if someone who is not attached, what will happen? Someone who is not attached, then what happens? Last talk he talked about how to get satisfaction, right? Then he said, now talking about na asti buddhi ayuktasya. If you are not yukt means attached. If you're not attached to Krishna, na asti buddhir. Buddhir is intelligence. You won't have intelligence. Na cha yuktasya bhavana. Neither you will have steady mind. Neither you have steady intelligence nor you will have steady mind. Na cha abhavita shantir. And in the absence of steady intelligence and mind, what will happen? You will not have shanti. You will not have peace. Yeah. And ashantasya kuta sukham. And if you don't have peace, how you will get sukh? All of us want happiness. So this is the happiness shlok. So basically, it is the negative. If you don't, so basically, if you're attached, then only you'll get happiness. We all want happiness, but we think, as we have been talking about, we think happiness is in the material world. Yeah. But the real happiness you will get by attaching to Krishna. And that's what he says here in the 66th shlok, that nasti buddhi yuktasya. If you are not attached, you will not have the steady intelligence. Yeah. And na cha yuktasya bhavana. Neither you will have a steady mind. And na cha bhavata shantir ashantasya kuta sukham. And if you don't have shanti, how will you get sukh, right? Let's read the English meaning of that. One who is not connected with the Supreme can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. without which
without which
there is no possibility of peace.
there is no possibility of peace.
And how can there be any happiness without peace? Now, there's an important word which talks about buddhi. Now, intelligence is of two varieties. We'll talk about that later also. Now, he talks about transcendental intelligence. Yeah. And intelligence can also be for the material world. And an intelligence which is transcendental is for the spiritual world. So you may have intelligence, but it will be for your material world. But if you want a transcendental intelligence so that you can understand the spiritual world, spiritual thing, then that is not possible if you're not connected to him. You'll be maybe very intelligent, but it will be all for your material world things. You will be able to achieve that. But if you want a transcendental intelligence to achieve Krishna, that you won't have if you're not connected to him, right? Now, there is a shlok in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That is the last shlok of Bhagavad Gita. It talks about Bhokta Ram Yagatapsam. Bhokta Ram Yagatapsam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhidam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Chantirichyati. This is called the peace formula. This is in Bhagavad Gita. This is called the peace formula. Who will get peace? He explains that Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam. Yagya is Yagya that we do. Tap is austerities. So whatever Yagya and Tap that you are doing, the final beneficiary of that is Krishna. We may be doing for a demi, that we'll talk about in detail later. We may be doing to some demigods, Devtaka will be doing the Yag. But who is the final beneficiary? It's the Krishna. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam. Clear? Yagya and Tap ka, Tap is austerity. Who is the Bhoktaram, who is the enjoyer. Yeah. Then Sarva Lok. Sarva is all, Lok is Sansar. Maheshwaram, who is the God of all the Lok, right? Suhidam. Suhidam means the best friend. Suhidam is the best friend. Sarva Bhutanam. We all are the living entity. For all the living entities, who is the best friend? Gyatva Mam. Who knows this? He will Shanti Mrichati, he will get the peace. That I am the enjoyer of all Yagyantap, and I am the best friend of everyone, and I am the Sarvalok Maheshwaram. Who understands this, he will get peace. And here he talks, in this shlok he talks, Nasti Buddhur Yuktasya, Na Chayuktasya Bhavana, Na Chabha Shantiras, Shantiras is Kusandu. So when you know that he is the one, and you understand this, then with that you will get sukh, you will get happiness. Yeah. So we talked about the peace shlok, and then we talked about depression without God. Now, if you see, all of us in general, right? You see, every day we get up, we have a goal to do something, right? And because of this, our life keeps on moving. Imagine a day when you don't, imagine time when you don't have a goal. Especially you will notice that when, after a working period, we have retired. So because we are totally always moving, so we really don't feel much because we are passing our time in some way. Yeah, so we don't realize that. But what happens when you get retired? Because of your habit, some reasons because of which you're not working. The everyday work that you used to have, you had a goal of going to office, doing this, then you have a food, this, and everyone is busy in the home also because of that, right? And then you have, but once you get retired, just imagine, I'm just taking an example like that. So what happens is then you don't have a goal that you have to go to office. Yeah. Now, when you don't have a goal of going to office, so what happens? Then you don't know what to do. And then finally what happens? You go into depression. It's a process. Anyone, it's an example of, but suppose you had been doing something, you had a big project you had been doing, yeah, and suddenly everything goes, then you don't know what to do. And then Momita's case, what to do, you don't know. So what happened? Then it actually starts becoming your depression and your mind, you start doing mental concoction and you lose your peace. And you don't know what to do because you had been only attached to the material world. But if you're attached to the spiritual world, you have always so many things to do. You're never free. Normally a mother, especially mothers, when they like me, when two kids, they got married and the home is totally empty. Yeah. For a mother, entire life revolves around the child. Yeah. It entire morning says she's busy till end about taking care of the child, taking care of husband. Imagine the situation when the child gets married and the child is away or has gone to hostel. They don't know what to do, and the lady is going to depression. The reason is because they don't know, they have not even thought that, that is the most important thing is not being done, is connecting to God. But if you're connected to God, whether the child is there or not, every day morning you have to get up, you have to do your job, you have to make breakfast for Krishna, you have to make dinner, lunch for Krishna, you have to make dinner for Krishna, you have to give him bath, you have to do. So whether someone is there or not, you're totally busy. From morning to night, you're busy, you have to make him sleep, you have to change his dress, you have to do this. You don't have time. So you are not connected to something which is temporary, which is here today and not there tomorrow, but you're connected to something which is permanent. So what we do is in life, we always think about office, we talk about goals, short-term goal, long-term goal. All these goals are all temporary. All these short, even the long-term goal of office is also short-term because it's only for some time and then it is not there. And you are attached to something temporary today in this office, tomorrow in that office, and then you don't know. And you start getting depression, you start getting to wrong things. We are spiritual beings. We are Mamaivansho Jivaloke Jeev Bhuta Sanatana. We are part and parcel of Krishna. That's what Krishna says. We are spiritual, we are not material. We cannot find happiness in material things. We'll find happiness in spiritual things. Our 100% permanent goal, our goal has to be also permanent, attached to a permanent goal, which is Krishna, attached to that. Rest everything is temporary. It will be there tomorrow, it will not be there. We are also not going to be there tomorrow. Right? Attached to him, go to him. Why are you bothered? So simple. Isn't it? Life becomes so easy. Yeah? You won't have time. You won't have time. Just connect to him. Start chanting. 16 rounds, commit to you. 16 rounds padna hai. You have to read your scriptures. Whatever has been taught, you have to read that. You have to understand the meaning. You have a book already with you. I hope everyone has the book. Yeah? Do that. You have a book. You are reading that. And then, you won't have time for anything. Yeah, but doesn't mean, always remember, your duty is first. You cannot hide behind this. If you are hiding behind this, oh, I'm not getting time because I'm doing this, then you are actually a scapegoat. You're running away from your duty. Never do that. Krishna says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have to do your duty. Duty doesn't mean only going to office. Duty towards your wife, towards your husband, towards your mother-in-law, towards your father-in-law, towards your family, towards your extended family, towards your society, towards the bigger society. It has to be done in that time, 24 hours only. You have to do it. And you have to find time for, that is the main thing. And then you have to find time for everything. That is the right way of living. Understood? If that can be done, you'll be you are getting the sukh, the happiness formula. You have got the peace, you have got happiness, and you will have a beautiful life. Yeah. You want to travel? Travel. Go and see the places. You go to, what do you call it? The places of temple. Now you will get a prasadam of this place. What do you call it? Srinathji. And next time, Vaishnavi and Shil will tell us the story about Srinathji. They have just visited and they have come from there. Yeah. So let us, so go and see places. Beautiful temples we have. Go to pilgrimage places. Beautiful things we have. Go and stay there and connect, because temple has a power. Temples have the power. If you can't go, at least here go to temples, because temple, wherever the deity is actually put, it is not a normal place. It is all powers are called there. So when you go inside a temple and pray, the impact is different when you do a prayer at your home, because then you are in between all those positive vibrations. So we must make it a point that at least once a week we must visit the temple and get the blessings from there. That is again a way to, yeah. Now we go to the last shlok. This is Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragya vayur navam ivambhasi Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayur navam ivambhasi. Who will read this, Rupa?
Yeah. Indriyanam vicharatam
Indriyanam vicharatam
yanmano anuvidhyate
yanmano anuvidhiyate
tarthasi harati pratnam
tadasya harati pragyam
vayurnavam ivam vasi.
vayur navam ivambhasi. So here we'll take the last word. Vayur navam ivambhasi. Vayu is wind. Vayu is wind. Navam is boat. Now, ivambhasi is sweeps away. Yeah, a boat on the water. Where is water? Achha. So basically, just like a strong wind sweeps away the boat. Yeah, sweeps away the boat. That's how our roaming senses, if any of our senses are roaming, if we don't control our senses, they will take away the intelligence from us. So let's read the English meaning. As a strong wind
As a strong wind
sweeps away a boat
sweeps away the boat
on the water,
on the water,
even one of the roaming senses
even one of the senses
on which the mind focuses
on which the mind focuses
can carry away a man's intelligence. So we have 2 more minutes, so I will not go into detail of this shlok. It is a long explanation, but in short, we have to, even if one sense is not under your control. For example, when I talked about Sambhara Muni, only his eyes, as soon as he opened his eyes, he lost all his thing, right? So even if one sense is not under our control, it can sweep away the entire work. At the same time, it's the other way also. If even one sense we are connected to Krishna, if you only says, okay, I'll hear Krishna's, only by hearing, I will hear Krishna's name, that is also can help you to grow up in the spiritual journey. Yeah. So with this, I'll end today's class. Let's say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I request everyone that please start chanting. And this is the second chapter. Before we end the second chapter, I would request that at least do 2 rounds of chanting every day. Yeah. Make out that time to connect to Krishna. We have 24 hours. I'm talking about only 15 minutes, right? In 24 hours. So connect to Krishna by chanting. And if you can, tell whatever you have learned to someone. Share it with someone. That way you will remember it. And you may have doubts. We can also talk about that question answers that you have. We can actually answer that. Yeah. Anyone who is the people who are online, I would request the devotees, if you have any question, please post it. I'll answer it to you. Thank you. Hare